Hi everybody, Nick here. I got a request from a viewer to do an overview of my entire collection, which is kind of funny because I've reviewed most of my collection. But nonetheless, I figured I'd do it, and I'd take an opportunity to talk a little bit about why I have these knives and how I kind of plan my collection. And how I curate, if you will. So, for me, a knife, in order to stick around in my life, has to have three functions. The first is it needs to function well. Because I do actually use a knife at work. I cut open envelopes, packages, boxes, foam. I got plastic tubing, those kinds of things. So if a knife is fundamentally just not functional and not able to cut things, well, then it's not going to stick around. So that's the first thing. Second, for me, I look a lot for mechanical beauty. And what I mean by that is either classical beauty in the sense of a very pretty knife, like your tie lock here, or your Menandi down here, or it could be just mechanically really well done. So the Grimsmo Norseman is a perfect example of this. This is a knife that was designed by a computer, that was milled out by a computer, well, by John Grimsmo using a computer, was milled out by a computer, and is the most, the smoothness of this hinge is just amazing. It just makes me smile anytime I pick it up and start using it. So that's a nice thing. And same thing with your buoy here. Is so nice because it's so damn simple. It's just two slabs of titanium, a backspacer, and some steel. But when it's done this masterfully, you get this just beautiful sound. Oh, I love it. And so that makes me smile as well. And so there's a mechanical love for some of these knives as well. Third and finally, for me, there's a symbolism involved here, and it's not a violent symbolism. I don't view knives as weapons, and I know that sounds a little strange to some, but for me, and in a lot of cultures and traditions, knives and swords are actually tools of the intellect, symbols of the intellect, because fundamentally an intellectual pursuit is cutting away the bullshit from the good stuff. It's cutting away making very fine distinctions to separate concepts, to separate out the stuff you need and you don't need. And so for me, even if I'm just sitting and programming all day on a particular day, maybe, well, not maybe, it does make me feel kind of nice to know that I've got that symbol with me, and it's a good one. And so that's why I like carrying a nice knife, even if I don't really need the performance of it. So those three things kind of go into my choices. It needs to be functional. It needs to be mechanically nice. I don't tend to like janky knives. There's a reason that gas station special ain't my ADC. And finally, I like that symbolic value, and that's why I don't tend to like the violence-geared knives. So, for instance, some of your really tactical high-end knives with this has a blood groove down the side, or this deploys in 2 seconds from your pocket. Like, okay, cool, have fun, but that ain't me. That's not my style. I like a more nerdy, more cerebral, more intellectual kind of knife, which, whatever. That's just who I am. You may be different. How I curate my collection is by doing one in, one out. Even though I've reviewed a bunch of knives, and I've owned a bunch of knives, this is my collection, pretty much in its entirety. I think I've got a Mora in my emergency kit in my car, and I've got an EC laser strike that I use if I'm really beating on something, like separating, if I need to cut up some ice or separate, I don't know. And I'll use that for fixed blade kind of tasks, and I got some kitchen knives that I like, I might talk about someday. But, this is pretty much it. And even some of the knives you've seen reviews of on my channel are no longer here, like the TSF Beast or the ZTO 450, a couple of others, just, a lot of in, a lot of out. And that's nice, because it helps to knock down the cost. If you're collecting nice things, they tend to cost a lot of money, whether that's pens, multi-tools, knives, watches, whatever. So if you keep it to a one in, one out, you can make it a much less expensive hobby, and make this something that I can do with a little bit of extra income, rather than requiring me to be filthy stinking rich. So that's nice. I'd like to talk a little bit about each one of these and what they mean and what functional role they fill for me. So the Raisins, you know that I love this blade shape. I've got a video that's just an ode to the Raisin shape, and I really find this blade shape to be functionally useful. It's ugly as sin, I'll give you that any day of the week, but by God, it's a really nice little knife for that. And so I like it as a tool. If I'm going to actually be doing some work, I'll throw one of these guys into my pocket, most likely the big guy. and then add in the Damascus backspaces that match it, adds a little bit extra mechanical niceness. And this is a very nicely made knife. Aside from a little bit of lock stick, it's damn near perfect. So that's nice too. The Norseman for me is just perfection. And I've said this before, but there's no knife in my collection that is subjectively nicer than this in terms of functionality. Oh man, it's just a freaking gem, 100%. And so for me, this is kind of an aspirational thing. It's the same reason you own like an Omega or a Rolex, whatever, Patek. It's just somebody is right at the top of their game, and I think John Grimsmo really is. So that's nice for me. The tie lock I just reviewed and just got, and this is the newest addition to my collection, but I like it because it's beautiful and it's mechanically interesting. I like the lock. It's smooth. It's nice. So for me, this is a really nice little knife that I think will stick around. The Sleesh buoy is nice. So nice that I sold it and bought it again because I'm an idiot. But it's nice in that simplicity that I was talking about a little bit earlier. And it's just a really nice functional knife. The Dragonfly for me is a very functional knife in that this is my travel knife. If I'm traveling someplace, it's pretty much universally legal, being as short as it is, but it's still, it's a good enough cutter that I can use it for just everyday tasks, even there too, which is nice. And it's also cheap enough that even if and in the ZDP, by the way, the edge will keep for the entirety of a trip, no worries. And it's cheap enough that if the TSA, yoinks it out of my checked bag, then okay, such is life. I move on. This Kizer is a knife that I've had for a while. I got as a gift on Reddit, knife swap kind of thing. But it's really, really nice. I like it in that way because, it's a $100 knife that I've gotten $110 a use out of. So now if I need something kind of beatery, if I need to do something where, I might injure the knife, I reach for the Kizer. Because, it served me well. For me, the Delica, in addition to being one of the best entry-level knives you can get ever, has a personal meaning. One of the very first people that I knew that carried a pocket knife regularly, as I throw knives around, carried a Spyderco Delica, and he was a good guy and a nice guy, and a lot of what he's gone through resonates with me. So, for me, this has a symbolic value in addition to being just a freaking awesome knife. So that's why this guy is sticked. Wow. Hey, language is hard. The Menandi, for me, is a gentleman's folder, which means I put it in my pocket, in a pocket slip if I'm wearing a suit or something like that, where I still want that symbolism, and I still want the ability to open a box or an envelope, even if, it's not appropriate to carry something bigger. And it's there for me. I know it's in there, and I know the symbol's there, and frankly, it's freaking beautiful, is the other thing. This is art. Just like your tie lock, just like your Norseman, this is art, and I like that as well. The Benchmade 940 is probably the knife in my collection that I'm least attached to. I just got it recently. I like it a lot. It's a beautiful, functional knife. The question remains to be seen whether it's going to see a lot of pocket time when I've got some other really good options, but it's there. And then finally, this little guy I got as a gift from my girlfriend way, way back when, and now it's just kind of sitting around. And, she and I both use it to open envelopes and things like that, just in our little coin tray near the door. But it's nice, it's cute, and I keep throwing knives. I'm sorry, Tylock. Good thing you're made out of titanium and durable. And, oh my god, I'm talking to knives. I got a problem. But anyway, so this is my collection. Some things filter in and out. Like a sneak preview, I've got a Manix here, an S110V, that I picked out in large part to review. And I blame you guys for that. But I don't think this is going to be in my collection, but at the moment it's in my possession. I'm going to sharpen it up a little bit, do a review, and then maybe send it along to a new home unless I fall in love. But that's my collection at the moment, and that's how I curate my collection. I hope this has been at least mildly interesting to you. I think I'm atypical in terms of knife collectors. Most guys have drawer after drawer, and, everybody's got different taste. But that's where I'm at. If you got any questions, let me know. Let me know what the favorite knife in your collection is. I'm really curious. For me, my favorite is probably the Norseman, maybe the Graham, probably the Norseman. But I'm curious what lands first in yours. Or if you've done a similar video, let me know. Put it in the comments. Anyways, have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope you enjoyed. Bye now.